Alright guys, VPirate613 here. I actually wanted to talk about Bethesda today and how Bethesda games have gotten progressively worse throughout the years. And basically, I'm not really reviewing Fallout 4, but if you want to look at it that way, then yeah, it could be a Fallout 4 review, I guess. I'll just be talking about some of the new mechanics and stuff with Fallout 4, which we were progressively seeing throughout the other games, New Vegas and stuff like Skyrim. Those games were still pretty good compared to Fallout 4 anyway, but how dumbed down it's become and dialed down to whatever we got of a disappointment game. The fans are obviously disappointed. Even though something is fun to play doesn't mean it's good. I always go by this YouTube comment that I saw. The comment says, "A fart may feel nice, but at the end of the day, it still smells like shit." And I'm not saying Fallout 4 is shit. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it's not the Fallout game that we deserve, or sound like Batman there. It's not the Fallout 4 game that fans really deserved, and it's not really a Fallout game, in all honesty. Any Fallout fan with a shred of common sense will tell you this if they've played it, if they've put 100 hours into all the Fallout games. I can't even count the amount of hours I have on Skyrim, probably over 1,000. But, why don't I have 100 hours on this game? Why do I have 60 hours actually? Why didn't I end up playing the story until the very end? Why did I put the game down the very first week I got it? So I'm actually going to be talking about all of this. So I actually wrote down some of these things. I actually thought, I usually don't script stuff, but I've just noted down just the general structure of how it's gonna do, because I don't like getting stuck at all. So maybe a script will help me. It's not really a script, it's just like one, what I'm gonna talk about, two, next time, it's stuff like that. So the first thing I'm gonna talk about is graphics. Okay, so I'm just gonna start off with saying graphics is not what makes a game. It's not always what makes a game. Okay, graphics don't always bother me, but if you're on a PC, the average PC gamer nowadays has more than an average computer to run high quality games. And just saying that, back a couple years, maybe 5 years ago, this would have been a different story, because back then you just getting like a GTX 750 or something like that was expensive. And the market's grown so much over the last 5 to 10 years that the market's just so big now. Most people who game on PC will have an average computer. So saying that the reason we buy a PC is to get, not to have console graphics. So that was one thing that it was a slight bother, but it didn't really matter that much. Even then, with the big graphical downgrade, they didn't even downgrade anything anyway, but having console graphics, or I think it was quite old, the graphics that they gave us anyway, but just having that, and also I already knew it was Bethesda, so we was gonna get bugs, we was gonna get low FPS. They've been fixed, I guess. I don't think I can get over 60 to 100 FPS anyway in cities. I don't think I can anyway. They still have long loading times and stuff like that, which have been really consistent throughout all the Fallout games. After the third one, New Vegas and also Skyrim, with the long loading times, they didn't seem to care about fixing those things, and that just goes to show how little thought they may have put into this, or maybe they just didn't bother with it. So yeah, graphics was one of the really annoying things to see, that they didn't really give PC gamers more graphical options to have instead of the console graphics. If they had console graphics for the consoles and then gave us something for the PC that gamers can enjoy, really high quality graphics, that would have been great. I would have enjoyed that. But apart from that, it didn't bother me. Graphics didn't bother me. Just to say that, I'm just gonna be noting down the stuff that does need to be talked about, because there is still an issue. They should have just stuck with some good graphics instead of giving a 5-year-old graphics. Outdated, stuff, man. Come on, even consoles can do better than this. So the next thing I want to talk about is the special system. You know, Fallout 3. That I'm gonna keep talking about Fallout 3 because Fallout 3 was such a memorable game. You know, it wasn't a great game. You know, it didn't have good gameplay, but as an RPG, it was a great game. And the special system, the new special system that they've got, pretty much you can become God. Okay, you can become God of the Commonwealth and go into all of the special skills, and it's really weird that you can do that. What was good about the old games is, you know, you want to be a clever person, you go into intelligence, right? Or you go into medicine, you know, and you can talk your way out of certain things, and there's certain things you can't talk your way out of, and you know, you end up in different situations depending on the preferred character you play. In this one, you can get away with whatever you want. You know, in the old one, you want to be a hooker, you can do that, okay? You wanted to be a raider, you could do that, you can go and join the raiders. You can't join the raiders on this, okay? You can't be a hooker, come on. Who doesn't want to be a hooker? But things like that you can't do in this game, and it's mostly because of this new special system and just how dull just role-playing the character is. And that brings me on to the dialogue, okay? I just find that Fallout 4 is so restrictive in terms of an RPG and its dialogue. The dialogue just felt like, okay, these are just the options I have, yes or no. I'm not really playing the guy I want to play. And you know, when we had, you know, in the past, when we had a silent character that helped to roleplay your character, there's even more options back then. And why do we have yes and no dialogue options? They're pretty much yes and no dialogue options, okay? When my character got angry on Fallout 4, I didn't care, okay? They tried making it out like, you know, they really want to focus on this whole thing about thimps and human, and how, you know, they were trying to do some fucking ex machina shit, I guess, but it didn't really, no one really gave a shit. Like, I didn't give a shit about the railroad. I didn't care. The only thing, you know, I wanted to be a good guy, so I went to the railroad, and I ended up hating everyone, even the railroad, and I wanted to do so much more. There was so much more they could have done, you know, in scenarios like this, but you just didn't get those options, okay? And it was just a real disappointment to not be having, just being restrictive, really, of stuff like that. Just not being able to roleplay properly, and having such a dull story to go along with it, and such a dull character that you don't even feel for at all. You know, it's not your character, it's another creation to me that you know, I really think. Just to back Fallout 4 a bit, they did give us some cool stuff. We had base building, you know, we had a really more improved gunplay, you know, mechanics with the gunplay. The special system, I'm gonna say it fucking sucks, okay? It feels more like more of a restrictive system. You end up not using VATS at all anyway, because it doesn't stop time. So they've done this new thing. I guess that's the only new thing they could have brought to the thing, where it's slow motion. And what was the point? I thought, you know, the VAT system always suffers from, you know, you can be standing 2 meters away from someone, you can't headshot them. That's always been a VATS problem. It happens in games like XCOM as well, but they could have fixed these, you know, they've been doing this for years, and they can't fix stuff like this. It's really annoying. Like, what? You've been doing this for how long now, Bethesda, and you can't fix this? Or just make it better? You know, the gunplay, some people said that, you know, it felt more like an action game than anything, and pretty much it did feel like an action game. You're just shooting your way out of everything. Bethesda still suffers from, you know, those enemies that take such a long time to kill, especially if you're playing at a higher difficulty. But you know what I liked about Fallout 4 is, if you're fighting against the Brotherhood, if they're wearing their, you know, their power armor, and you keep getting those headshots, that eventually their armor's gonna break and you can headshot them and get an easy kill. And I like that. It's similar with the robots on Fallout 4. You can keep shooting their, you know, their weak spots until they're damaged enough to really get a killing blow, and that was cool. I like that, and it really removed some of the bullet sponge issues that you really get with these RPGs. You know, there's still some bullet sponge enemies out there, some of the bigger enemies like death claws and stuff. They don't really have that much of a weakness like some of the other enemies that really Bethesda actually thought about, but that's only the things. Who the fuck gives a shit about things? Apart from that, it was not a satisfying Fallout game. I mean, really playing the memorable Fallout 3, but just juicing it up with mods as well, having those story mods. On Fallout 4 you could download those mods. It's not going to make the game better like Fallout 3, New Vegas and Skyrim. You don't get those good mods. I don't even think they added really nice mod support this time, and it's sad to see how deteriorated that Bethesda as a game company have got now. I've been so disappointed 2015, not 2016. We had Metal Gear Solid 5. I've been such a big fan of Metal Gear ever since I was young, and they just gave us another disappointing game, and it's just really, really horrible seeing big companies and big names just go downhill. But to conclude, I'm just gonna say Fallout 4 is not a bad game. It's just not a Fallout game. You're gonna have fun with it. You're gonna have fun base building. You're gonna have fun definitely just exploring. The exploration isn't as rewarding as the previous games. It just tends to come down to finding loot more on this game than anything. It's not really, oh, I'm gonna go into this building and there's some lore. Remember from the old Fallouts, you go into a vault and there's a whole story behind that vault you can find out about. This one's not too much like that, so another big disappointment there. It just felt like an action shooter with a lot of things to do and a dull story. There was a lot to do. The base building potentially you can keep doing forever and ever, and that was a cool addition, but it doesn't make the core game better. But just to finish off though, I think it is worth the money to buy, but you're gonna be disappointed if you're a Fallout fan. And as Batman would say, it's a good game, but it's just not the game we deserve right now, and it's a disappointment, and I'm just sad. This year's been really shit with games, these companies trying to deliver with games. So I hope you enjoyed my rant about this. Don't see it as much of a review. I usually mostly will commentate about stuff rather than review them, because review process and stuff like that takes more time, and so for me doing daily uploads I can easily think about things like this. So if you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments what you thought about Fallout 4. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? What do you think of some of the things I said? Do you agree with me or not? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like button if you want to see more from me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Also, please subscribe. I swear to God.